Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's nice to see our community has come forward. Welcome to our Monday, June 6th meeting. I want to go ahead and call our meeting to order with the invocation by Ms. Bowers.
Let us pray silently together, each one of us, according to our individual beliefs. Let us offer thanks for our blessings and for one another. Let us be a source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are lonely. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve the city of Gahanna. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Angelo.
Here.
Bowers.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova. Renner.
Here.
Schnetzer. Weaver.
Here.
All right, thank you. Item B, are there any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, moving on to item C, hearing of visitors. I do have a stack of speaker slips. Per our rules, when I call your name, please step forward and state your name and address for the record, and then you will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay? And anybody who came in late, there's still time if you want to fill out a speaker slip and see our clerk. Okay? Pastor Rob Paul.
Thank you. My name is Rob Paul. I live at 552 Theory Avenue here in Gahanna, and I'm wanting to speak in opposition of the resolution of naming June as Pride Month. I'm writing to express concern over this pending resolution. I'm writing as a follower of Jesus, as a pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, and as a Gahanna resident. I am concerned about the message this proclamation sends to our residents and our young people who are so vulnerable to the influences that are pressing in on them on all sides. Issuing June as Pride Month in Gahanna celebrates and honors those who have made a lifestyle choice that is in direct contradiction to Scripture, and it creates concern for me that the government of a city might celebrate something that Scripture indicates is not God's will or God's best for His people. And when I say His people, I mean all of us. As a Christian, I often pray for God's favor and blessings upon our city, and it seems contradictory for us to ask for God to bless this community while at the same time celebrating the things that He has made clear are not His best plan for us. I want to be clear that I am grateful that we live in a nation that allows people to make their own choices. I'm in no way trying to be judgmental in any way toward those who choose an LGBTQ lifestyle, and I recognize that my responsibility and our responsibility as a society is to love people regardless of their choices, and I and my church try to do that. But loving does not mean celebrating and honoring their choices that stand in contrast to Scripture. I have friends who have chosen this lifestyle. I love them, and they love me, and we both know where we stand in terms of Scripture. I am not better than anyone who chooses this kind of lifestyle. We're all on a level playing field. I believe in this proclamation mentions a couple of things that we want to value all people regardless of their orientation without pride, and I believe that without Pride Month, we can still value all the people regardless of their orientation. The resolution says that we want to honor the contribution made by every person, and I believe that as a community, we can honor the contributions that people make regardless of their sexual orientation. And it says that we want to respect each person, and I believe that we can respect each person in our community without recognizing their sexual orientation. We can and should treat all people equal, and this too can and should be done without Pride Month. Finally, I want you to know that on behalf of myself and the doctrinal position of our church, that I am opposed to proclaiming June as LGBTQ Pride Month, and celebrating as a government, political body in the city is something that is still in conflict with Scripture. I understand that you all are facing pressure from all sides of this issue. I pray for you and for wisdom to make decisions on behalf of this community that will invite God's blessings on our people. I appreciate you, the difficult job that you have of leading our city in challenging and changing times, and want you to know that as a church, we pray for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kathy McCorkle.
Kathy McCorkle, 677 Piccadilly Court, Gahanna.
Right here.
Good evening. I'm before you today to urge and demand a no vote tonight on Resolution 0014-2022. Thank you to council members who replied to me about where you stood on this resolution and did so within the requested timely fashion. Karen Angelou, Steve Renner, Trent Weaver, and the mayor, Lori Jadwin. This resolution is a political agenda of the leftist members on council being pushed on us with an end goal to change our culture in Gahanna. Last year's meeting minute notes of June 14, 2021, confirmed this when a council member stated about the resolution, "This is important because of visibility and acceptance." And another statement that was made, "It's understood that not all council members are going to see this the same way," is an admission that this is not a shared Gahanna value. To not have this resolution, including a proclamation of it by the mayor, offends no one, but to pass this resolution offends some. It's clear. Elected officials can choose to offend no one, or they can choose to offend some. This resolution elevates a group of people in Gahanna and their political agenda. Gahanna School Board and Superintendent are using the LGBT trans agenda to corrupt our kids, to groom and coax them into a life of sexual deviancy. Now we have our elected officials engaged in manipulating society to change our culture too. The first act of compassion is an accurate definition. It's a lie that anyone is born this way because God made his creation male and female. Lenin said, "Tell a lie often enough and it will become truth." This is so much of what the left gives us: lies, deception, chaos, lawlessness, and immorality. Gahanna is lacking in moral leadership. So I say to you, public servants, sitting in your governing seats, don't make Gahanna a Gomorrah. Vote no on Resolution 0014-2022. Thank you.
Okay, Anita Bryson.
I'm Onita Bryson. I live at 215 Greenbank Road. I'm Onita Bryson, a member of the LGBTQ community in Gahanna. People's hateful, unkind comments about my orientation have damaged me. According to the Trevor Project's 2022 National Survey on LGBTQ Youth Mental Health, I am not alone. 45% of LGBTQ youth have seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. An accepting community, like the one the Pride resolution reflects, has been proven to lower rates of attempted suicide in LGBTQ youth significantly. Section 3 of the resolution asserts this council expresses its hope that all in the community can live, work, and be who they are without secrecy or fear. This resolution would have helped me and a few of my friends in our 8th grade year. You see, we have experienced hateful comments in the halls, such as slurs or how we shouldn't exist. And it even went as far as someone coming up to our lunch table and showing us an article about how being gay is a sin. This made us feel unaccepted and unwanted by the community we lived in. We just wanted to be proud about who we were, but instead we were considered outcasts, rumors often being spread about us. It made us wish we had kept our secret. We had already feared an unaccepting community, but living it was so much worse. I don't know about the rest of my friends, but I felt alienated and targeted. When I first read the proposed resolution, it made me feel like people wanted folks like me in the community. Not only did people want us in the community, they valued us. This is why it's so important for you to pass this resolution. It will decrease LGBTQ suicide and self-harm. It will decrease the fear of hate, but it will increase pride. Pride in ourselves and pride in our community. I urge you all to vote yes.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your courage. Sorry. All right, Miss Melissa Soul, please.
Hello, my name is Melissa Sull. I live at 1070 Brookhouse Lane. I am here to speak in support of the proposed resolution recognizing June 2022 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the city of Gahanna. It is critical to reaffirm our support of Gahanna's LGBTQ community members, especially while our state government is engaged in cruel and persistent efforts to stoke fear and undermine human rights. I understand that a vocal minority prefers intolerance, discrimination, and injustice. I also know that most Gahanna residents have the courage and the kindness to treat everyone with dignity, respect, and support. This resolution is a good way to demonstrate that Gahanna is a strong and welcoming community, and I hope that it will pass unanimously tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Clifford Mason, please.
My name is Clifford Mason, and when I am within Gahanna city limits, my address is 160 South Hamilton Road, Columbus, Ohio, also known as Central Office of Gahanna Jefferson Public Schools. I'm a coordinator of special education as well as the board president of Kaleidoscope Youth Center here in Columbus, Ohio, serving Franklin County and all of Ohio, to include Gahanna in the community of Gahanna. In the wake of 2020 and the pandemic, we've heard a lot about initiatives and changes and diversity. And while diversity is good because we've got a mix of people, and equity means everybody gets an invite to the dance, we have to consider inclusion and belonging. What does it mean for everybody to come to the dance floor, to dance, and leave and feel like they had a great experience? Because everybody had an equal opportunity to do so. Generation Z, I'm here to talk about youth, specifically the youth of Gahanna, because I work with them all day, every day. They are terrifying in the best way possible. They have seen from our examples with civil rights and gender movements what it means to protest. And it is not about adult influence. This is what they come to the table with. We come from a generation where we say, we're gonna take this system and throw it away and do something different. They're from a generation of burn it all. And we have to really support them in the fact that we have to mold and get them to understand that there needs to be a next step after we burn it all, because that ultimately is not the solution. Within Gahanna, in and of itself, at the high school, and I am pre-K to 12th grade, we have so many children seeking acceptance and support from each other as peers and as adults. We have students who attend our United Club for LGBTQ+ youth at the high school who tell their parents that they're a chess club just to have 45 minutes a month of feeling like they belong because they don't feel comfortable in their own homes. We have to consider that 120% more than their peers, they're likely to be homeless. At Kaleidoscope Youth Center, we support homeless youth, and we have specific homeless support and shelter for LGBTQ+ youth, because some of our youth that turn 18 don't celebrate graduation and the joys of that, because when they turn 18, they have no home. And I know for a fact that some of those youth reside here in Gahanna and utilize our services. When we talk about pride, people think it's just a celebration, but you have to consider, this is at the core of people's identities. Our students who show up and identify as LGBTQ+ youth, they are Black, they are brown, they span race, they span gender, they span religion. So for you to negate even a portion of them is telling them that your identity is not good enough across the board. This is not about changing the culture of the Gahanna. The culture is already here. And that's what people need to understand. And that's why I am urging you, as someone who supports our youth in Gahanna, to follow through with this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Craig Clausen.
Hi, my name is Craig Clausen. I'm from 566 Danoon Drive here in Gahanna. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, leaders of Gahanna City Services, members of the public, my name is Craig, and I'm a 20-plus year resident of the City of Gahanna. I speak to you today in support of this council's Pride Proclamation. In June 1969, in a rundown bar in New York City's Greenwich Village, the New York City Police Department performed a raid at the Stonewall Inn. The members of New York City's finest roughed-up patrons performed genitalia checks and arrested 13 people. When a member of the LGBT community was viciously hit in the skull with a baton, the community acted. And for the next 5 days, an uprising occurred. Within a year, the nation's first Pride marches began, as our neighbors and fellow citizens organized and fought for their rights to exist, to live their lives, and to be left alone. 52 years later, the lessons of Stonewall are still as relevant as ever. While some progress has been made, we are seeing the active and vicious attempts of members of our state and national government to, once again, deny individuals their existence in schools, to prevent their inclusion, and to return this community back to the closet. So I speak here to you today. By making these proclamations, by flying that rainbow flag, we remind this marginalized community that they have a place in Gahanna. They are welcome to perform commerce in our shops. They are welcome to work in our businesses. They are welcome to attend our places of learning. They are welcome to be our friends. They are welcome to be our neighbors. Thank you very much for your time, and happy Pride.
Thank you. Ms. Sharon Montgomery.
President Renner, Vice President Bowers, members of the City Council, and representatives of the administration, I am delighted to see this resolution proposed. We all hear and we all use the phrase Gahanna community a lot. Definitions of community refer to common interests and characteristics. Connotations of community suggest inclusiveness. If we're going to refer to ourselves as the Gahanna community, we must not just talk the talk, we must walk the walk. Recognizing LGBTQ Public Pride Month is one important way to show our community is inclusive. I strongly urge you to pass this resolution, pass it unanimously, take visible actions to promote pride, and then extend this inclusiveness as far as it needs to go for us to be a true community. We don't have to be best buds with every Gahanna resident. We do have to afford the same respect and opportunities that we want for ourselves to every Gahanna resident.
Thank you. And Ms. Tommy Rad. Oh, Dr. Tommy Rad. My apologies.
Well, I'll tell you, President Renner, thank you. And my name is Dr. Tommy Rad, and I live at 1075 Arcaro Court in Gahanna. And thank you for your time. And I'm addressing the council, administration, regarding this important resolution regarding the pride issue that we're discussing now with our comments. I know that there isn't one person who has been proponent of this that I disagree with any of their statements, so I won't repeat that. But I am very concerned. I haven't heard enough, in my opinion, of the impact on our business community if we don't pass this. We have, at the State of the City, all the talk about Intel. We want to show how we're welcoming business and welcoming the message of the inclusivity of our community. And right now, we have an opportunity to show that everybody moving here, everybody considering where to move, between our school system's position as well as our community's welcoming stance. It's critical important to have that as a clear statement and message, because I don't want anyone to be considering where they want to move, what they want to do, what kind of community we are, to wonder, is any one group or one religion or one anything not welcomed here accepted, because it's strictly none of my business what those people's positions are. But I want them to know that they are welcome here, accepted here, valued here, and that we want that rich tapestry of diversity in order to expand our worldview and how we fit into this world and our country. So I please ask you to have a unanimous vote for this resolution to send that real clear message to those considering our community as well as those already here, how much we really do care, value, and not judge anyone, and that we want to welcome everyone and make it clear that that's an essential component of charting our course now and in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that is all the speaker slips. Mr. Clerk, are there any others?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the community for coming forward. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as so published?
So moved.
I have a first by Ms. Angelou,
A second.
a second by Ms. Bowers. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Angelou,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Consent agenda passes. Item E, motions. We have two. The first is MT 0013-2022, a motion authorizing Director of Public Service and Engineering permission to bid contract for the 2021 Sidewalk Maintenance Program. Do I have a motion to so adopt?
So moved, Council President.
I have a first by Ms. Bowers. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Angelou. Any discussion? Okay. Jeremy, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Angelou,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion is adopted. A second motion, MT 0014-2022, a motion to amend the rules of procedure of the Council of the City of Gahanna, Section 6.30, Hearing of Visitors, establishing subsections 6.30A in person and 6.30B via video.
So moved.
Have a first by Ms. Bowers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Mr. Weaver. Any discussion?
Yes, Council President.
Please, Ms. Bowers.
I'd like to move to refer this to the Committee of the Whole for further amendment and discussion in light of some information from the City Attorney.
Okay, we have a motion to move to Committee of the Whole. Is there a second on that?
Second.
A second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, roll call, please, Jeremy.
Bowers,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Angelou,
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. I mean, we're going to move it to Committee of the Whole, so thank you. All right. Item F, our resolution, Resolution 0014-2022, a resolution recognizing June 2022 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the City of Gahanna. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
I have a first by Ms. Bowers. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers?
Thank you, and thank you to all who are in attendance tonight. Through most of the 20th century, being outed as gay or lesbian almost always meant a complete destruction of your life. You would lose your career, your social groups, and your family. People were forced in fear to lie or hide their life partners, their best friends, their confidants. I think all of us up here are married, and so I think we all know how important that relationship is. They were relegated to being truly outcasts in society just for who they loved or how they wanted to be seen. In late June of 1969, in New York City, as was common practice at the time, police raided the Stonewall Inn. Violence erupted between the patrons and law enforcement, and transgender, bisexual, lesbian, and gay people protested how they were being treated under the law. Those protests in June 1969 are what led to pride protests and marches across the country, calling on lawmakers to change laws that criminalized people for who they were and who they loved. Coincidentally, 1969 was another important year in changing laws for people in love. After over a decade of oppression, jailing, and being forced out of their home state, Virginia, Mildred and Richard Loving, an interracial couple, found justice. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that laws banning interracial marriage were unconstitutional. Some religious groups and churches believed at the time that Scripture taught that love between people of different races was a sin. The judgments on homosexuality were also a part of our legal system. Ohio's law against homosexuality was not repealed until 1972, and it was not until the Obergefell decision in 2015 that Ohio's law prohibiting same-sex marriage was deemed unconstitutional. The role of government is to ensure the safety and prosperity of those whom we serve, which is all of our residents. Some groups of people, statistically, do not enjoy the same level of safety and prosperity of other groups because of many factors. Some of these factors are laws that we have or have had in place. Statistically, those who are married are more likely to be financially more secure, suffer less incidences of violence or crime, and to live longer than people who are single. But when we have had laws up until just 7 years ago that prohibited all people from marrying who they love, our laws have facilitated a statistical gap between the safety and prosperity of some groups. And transgender people are 400% more likely, 4 times more likely than non-transgender people to be victims of violent crime. We have an obligation to acknowledge these disparities in the safety and prosperity of our community. This is why I'm called to serve, and I hope to bring others with me in this purpose. We have groups of people who need us to be better at ensuring their safety and their prosperity so that we can all achieve the American dream. The LGBTQ community has made progress in recent years, although not enough, and only too recently, in marriage equality, employment protections, and importantly, in public awareness. But this is recent and there is still need. Ultimately, people want to be seen and heard and understood. As we seek to understand those who are different, we become stronger and more complete as a community. We can recognize each other's needs, navigate new to us concepts, and acknowledge and honor differences. This resolution, as last year's, is our way to recognize and understand some of our neighbors and residents who make up the fabric of Gahanna. We serve and live among you. We are your friends and your neighbors and your kids, as you've seen here tonight from the hearing of visitors. Thank you again to those who came out to speak tonight and to the many residents who emailed us in support of this resolution. I am open to further discussion with those of you who are in opposition, and I think others here on council would be as well. I hope that this leads to a greater mutual understanding and support for the LGBTQ community in Gahanna. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Want to echo Ms. Bowers' comments, thanking everyone for coming down tonight and for sharing your thoughts, not just tonight, but also via email over the past couple weeks. Thank you. We are fortunate to live in a vibrant and diverse city. These resolutions are one of the many roles of the legislative body to highlight the diverse members of our community, their successes, the progress being made, and the work yet to be done, especially for those who have been historically marginalized. We know that LGBT people are still 4 times more likely to experience violence in their lives as compared to their heterosexual counterparts. And due to the stress and threat of discrimination, LGBTQIA+ individuals are twice as likely to experience mental health issues in their life and have more than double the rate of depression than the heterosexual population. Suicide is a leading cause of death among the LGBT community, people ages 10 to 24. And across their lifespan, LGBT people attempt suicide at a disproportionate rate. Youth are more than 5 times more likely to die by suicide than their heterosexual peers. On a personal note, my wife is a public school teacher. She's a theater teacher in another school district, and she lives this every day. And she is often, to Mr. Mason's point, she's often the only safe voice that students can come to. Excuse me. And it is crucial that students have, that our young people, our youth have that safe voice in their lives, something that is often lacking at home for them. So I say all that to say, acceptance matters, acknowledgement and support matters. I believe Gahanna is an accepting community, a welcoming community, one that lifts others up, and I believe this resolution does just that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Angelou.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. I was going to put down, just could we have a simple resolution? We tend to have our resolutions and they're long in length and rather than shortening. And there would have been a number of things that I would have wanted to have made a little bit less. There were 3 whereases that I didn't think were negative, were positive and should have been done. But I want to talk about something else. Christ on the Sermon on the Mount said, "Judge not, lest you be judged." Matthew 5:7. And that's how I feel about all of us, that we are asking to be judges, and we are not judges. We recognized June as Pride Month, and I would hope that the LGBTQ community, the people that are there, would be known to us as the Gahanna community. Because once you're here, we want you to be here, and we want this to be your community. My church says, love God, neighbor, and self. And Mrs. Bickle is out there, who has said that many times at our church at Peace Lutheran. I wondered about that all along, and I said, I just kind of wonder about this. And then I started thinking about my friends that are part of the LGBTQ. I don't count them as that. They're Daniel, they're Paul, they're Cheryl, they're Michael, they're Q, they're Mary, they're Jeff, Niel. I want to say it puts us into a very difficult time here. I have these people that are my friends, and and yet we have people that are saying the Bible. But I do think that God is with all of us, and so I would like to not see part of politics in this. This is not politics. This is making our neighbors and all of the people of Gahanna to love one another. And so I do believe in that. So as much as I've kind of been looking at this, I don't know what, should I do this, should I do that? It's really difficult, but it's not my choice. It's God's choice of what happens. And indeed, I feel very good. I worked with developmental disabilities my whole life, so I know what it's like to be different and to take care of and try to keep people from being bullied and et cetera. So to me, this is really not in that developmental disabilities. These are people that want to be people. And so I want to thank you for this. I wish we could make these a little bit smaller, because I think it would have been just as good to say, we recognize June as Pride Month. And if that does not say that we recognize Pride as June, in June, then that would make us not have any reason to be here. So I just want to make that comment, because there's so many things that go through my mind as a person of the Bible, and as a person on city council, and as a person who wants to attempt to make people feel welcome to this community. Everybody is welcome to this community, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Ms. Padova?
I think my colleagues and many of you here today have hit all of the things that I was going to say, and all of you said it even better. Thank you so much to everyone who came out tonight to support this, and especially to Ms. Bryson. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. I hope that you feel seen, and you know that I support you, and I certainly hope that all of my colleagues here this evening will also be in support.
Thank you. Any discussion? I just want to add my comments for the record. I'm definitely going to be supporting this resolution. We did this last year. We rejoiced. It was unanimous. And the community was very resounding and very happy with us for doing so. We have heard a wide variety of views, and I deeply respect that and support that. As a couple of things that comes to my mind, anybody who heard the testimony by a young lady this evening, Ms. Bryson, this resolution is for you. This resolution is for people like you. As my colleagues have already said, we want you to be seen, we want you to be heard, and we want you to feel loved. We love you, and I love you. I love all peoples, but when we bridge into the spiritual realm, we must understand that we all come from the sacred source, the same source, right? And so therefore, we are in a manifest of that sacred source. Alan Watts, one of the great authors of Zen teachings, had a quote that I wanted to actually use. We do not come into this world, we come out of it. As leaves from a tree, as the ocean waves, the universe peoples, every individual is an expression of the whole realm of nature, a unique action of the total universe. I think that's well said. Thank you for all the comments, and any further? Ms. McGregor.
I just want to say, I don't necessarily agree with everything that was said tonight on either side, either pro or against. I believe that, but I will support this because I think that I want Gahanna to be a welcoming community. I want our neighbors to feel welcome here in Gahanna. I want businesses to feel like if they, that people are welcome in their businesses. I want it to be a welcoming community. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's said here, but you may not necessarily agree with everything I say. So, but I do think that in the sense that this is, we want people to feel welcome. We don't want them to feel discriminated against. I will support this resolution.
Thank you. Jeremy, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Angelou,
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Again, unanimous. Thank you. Item G, statutory resolutions for the introduction, waiver, and emergency adoption. SR 0001-2022, a statutory resolution determining the necessity to repair or replace sidewalks in the 2021 sidewalk maintenance program area for the city of Gahanna, waiving second reading and declaring emergency. Do you have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, you have a first by Ms. Bowers, A second
Then I'll
by
second.
Mr.
I'll
Weaver. Very good. Any discussion? Okay, Jeremy, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Angelou,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner.
Yes. Thank you. That resolution passes. Item H, ordinances for second reading and adoption. We have two. Ordinance 0025-2022, an ordinance to adopt amendments to the Gahanna Code Section 521.06, construction, repair, and replacement of sidewalks, integral approaches, aprons, and related areas. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you. I have a first by Mr. Weaver. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? Okay, Jeremy, call the roll.
Weaver,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Angelou,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Renner.
Yes. Thank you. Ordinance 0026-2022, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation for the North Triangle and Johnstown Road TIF funds. Have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Have a first by Ms. Angelou. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bowers. Any discussion? Jeremy, please call the roll.
Angelou,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Excellent. Both ordinances have been adopted. I'm very grateful for the committee and all the languages. That's why we're actually moving through these so quickly. We've had very good discussions. Item I, ordinances for introduction and first reading. We're not taking any legislative action, but I'll read this into the record. Ordinance 0027-2022, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation for the 2021 sidewalk maintenance program. Item J, ordinances for introduction, waiver, and adoption. We have one ordinance 0028-2022, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation and waiver of second reading for general engineering services. Do I have a first for adoption?
So moved.
I have a first by Ms. Angelou. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bowers. Any discussion? Okay, please call the roll, clerk.
Angelou,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Item K, ordinances for introduction, waiver, and emergency adoption. Ordinance 0029-2022, an ordinance to amend ORD 89-2021, an ordinance establishing the salaries for personnel of the City of Gahanna for the period January 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, waiving second reading and declaring emergency. Do I have a first for the adoption of this ordinance?
So moved.
I have a first by Ms. Angelou. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? All right. Jeremy, please call the roll.
Angelou,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance passes. Thank you. And again, just for anybody who's watching or in our audience, we did have some really good discussion on these items in our committee, so. It may appear that we're just going through, but we've had discussion. Item L, correspondence and actions. Mr. Clerk, anything?
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
No,
Thank
wait a minute. We have a baby here. That's, that
I'm
is-
not the baby.
No. We have this big baby.
Yes, yes, thank
Yes,
you.
Please.
Welcome for child number
Forever.
3?
Yes, 3 sons.
Excellent. All right, my colleagues on council, anything to report? Okay, thank you. Item M, representatives, Community Improvement Corporation. I do have a report for tonight. CIC, we did meet on May 24th. We met at 8 o'clock in the committee room next door. Treasurer reported on the CIC's financials of February through April and reported that the CIC has approximately $3.5 million of assets. The financial statements have been shared with all of council today, and our clerk has a copy as well. Planning Committee reported that the city has received the first submission of the new high school from the Gahanna Jefferson Public School contractor and team. It was missing the traffic study at that time, but the city staff are working diligently and hard to meet the construction timeline. Development Committee reported that there have been some speculative interest within the Taylor Road Industrial Zone area, as we expect. Buckeye Candy is in the process of moving to their new space in the Liberty Square Plaza, and another business is already waiting to expand into the former space owned by Buckeye Candy. And last but not least, High Bank Distillery, if you haven't heard, is now open at Morse Road and Johnstown, East Johnstown Roads. So maybe we should all go grab a drink there later. Real Estate Committee reported on various contracts of properties, both on High and Mill Street, as well as some property management lease agreements ending soon for some tenants. Also discussed is what an RFP process would look like to secure a contractor for the probable development. The mayor has discussed the public town hall meeting coming Thursday, June 9th, where more details will be provided. Next board meeting is June 21st at 7:30 a.m. And as a reminder, this will be the first CIC with all of council present to ensure that council members have an opportunity to meet CIC members as well as hear firsthand CIC plans and discussions. The meeting will be held at the city's golf course building. And then, thus, our meeting ended at 9 a.m., and I'll tell you, President Collins actually runs a very tight schedule and gets promptly out by 9. So.
She's good.
And that's all I have to report. Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, MORPC, Ms. Angelou.
Thank you. We will have our next meeting on this Thursday, and the commission meeting will be starting at 1:30. I'd also like to point out that we're going to have the NARC convention here through the 12th through the 14th, and the 15th and 16th are freight convention too. So it's going to be a busy June. That's all I have right now.
Mr. Weaver, we don't have on the agenda, and this is my fault. So name your committee and that you're attending on and what you have to report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Regional Policy Roundtable met on May 17th, at which we were introduced to Abby Barnes, MORPC's new Grants and Investment Officer. We received an update on rail, generally speaking, I'll say, as many folks know. Yes.
Amtrak.
The bipartisan infrastructure law set aside the most money ever so far for rail. Amtrak and the Federal Railroad Administration have been releasing some details, and Amtrak's priority in that conversation is the Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Cleveland connection. The governor has expressed interest, which in theory should help build some momentum for the potential selection of a possible corridor.
Exciting stuff.
Exciting and clear as mud. So we also received a special update regarding the Intel development from Matt McQuaid, One Columbus Managing Director of Business Development. Intel has informally named their site director, Ted Gear. He comes from their Arizona campus. Many folks might have seen in the this week Rocky Fork Enterprise that New Albany City Council has moved forward with annexation and zoning. There were some concerns discussed about supply chain issues. One Columbus feels pretty confident that they have more than a dozen companies in the pipeline ready to get to work on construction, and made clear that while the fact that this project is happening is not the surprise. The announcement was just where this location is going, where the project is happening. So, also received a legislative update from Joe Garrity, MORPC Senior Director of Government Affairs and Community Relations, as well as Andy Shiflett of the law firm of Kegler, Brownhill, and Ritter. MORPC has been very active with the state capital budget, which passed the General Assembly last week, a bill which I believe includes $100,000 for the Gahanna Exploration Center, as well as HB 377 passed the General Assembly last week, which would deal with the second tranche of ARPA funds. In addition, it clarifies that townships are eligible to receive those funds, and those funds are expected to come later this summer. The bill also makes clear that those funds are available through fiscal year 2023, not fiscal year 2024, because the General Assembly cannot commit to a future General Assembly appropriating funds. The Columbus Regional Airport Authority provided that they have contracted with an architect, the Gensler firm, to move forward with a new terminal design. Moody Nolan is partnered in that effort. The next step will be going back to the CRAA board at the end of the calendar year with a design concept, so stay tuned there. And then lastly, I am joining the working group to update the public policy agenda for 2023 and 2024. The next meeting will be Tuesday, August 16th for the Regional Policy Roundtable. And that is it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Conventions and Visitors Bureau, Ms. Padova.
Thank you. Believe it or not, we are 10 days away from the Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival. There is still a need for volunteers in several areas. There are still admission gate shifts open on Saturday and Sunday, and groups are encouraged for this activity. It's an excellent fundraising opportunity because Visit Gahanna will make a donation to your group if you volunteer for one of these slots. Depending on the day you volunteer, volunteers do receive free t-shirts, snacks, admission on that day, and an invitation to the volunteer picnic in July where there will be a meal and prizes. New this year for the Blues and Jazz Festival, children 10 and under will be admitted for free of charge all weekend. Sunday, the admission is buy one, get one free for adults and children 10 and older. So essentially, it will be half price. Veterans are admitted for free of charge at any time throughout the weekend. Also, a recent addition to the festival, there will be an open-air art studio, chance to view artists working, and there will also be performing arts with fire performers, stilt walkers, and aerialists. So that should be a nice new touch to the festival. So hope everybody is able to make it out. And if you're able to volunteer, please go to the Visit Gahanna website and contact them to sign up for a spot.
Thank you. School Board, Ms. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. Let me welcome two school board members who are here in attendance. Thank you to school board members Dion Manley and Kara Coates for attending tonight. Feel free to correct me along the way if I missed anything. I just want to give a quick update on a couple items. The Board of Education engaged cooperative strategies to update the enrollment study that they had done back in 2020. And at May's Finance Committee meeting, the update was shared. That is visible on YouTube if you want to go back and check that out. The conclusion is that based on the 2020 study, the high predictions have come true, and when combined with the Intel announcement, they propose a new recommended data set be based on a higher unit per parcel and based on a trend history, taking out COVID impacts. It didn't actually drastically increase the previous study, though, so even though that maybe sounds a little onerous, it really doesn't seem to be quite that bad. The current enrollment in the district is just over 7,900 students, It's projected to grow in about 10 years to 9,300 students, if I got that correct. That included a lot of discussion about developable land and projected housing growth across Gahanna and the district's territory as well. So I will forward that study, and I think that the report will go along with the slides at some point in the near future. Congratulations to the class of 2022. They held a successful graduation this last week. So hopefully all of the students are on to wonderful activities, whether it is continuing education or trades or employment or military service. Good luck to all of you in that role. There are some other items, I think around some tax valuations that I would like to discuss with the administration first, but just that there are some discussions going on across between the city and the school board and their legal counsel regarding valuations of properties in Gahanna. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It sounded like Elvis Presley. Thank you very much. I didn't intend that. First of all, thank you to everybody who is in the gallery tonight. I've said this before, and I will say it again. It is always wonderful to see an engaged community and to hear the wide variety of thoughts and insights that is shared within our community. It's not easy to sit in these seats. There are 35,726 people that live in Gahanna based on the last census, and I'm pretty sure there's 36,000 opinions if you were to ask anyone, and to try to balance those is always difficult. But thank you for making your voices heard tonight and for being here. Very much appreciate that. A little over a week and a half ago, my office, together with our economic development team, held an economic development forum at Creekside Conference and Event Center. I know that many of you were there. Thank you very much for taking time out of your calendars and schedules to be there. For those of you who were not there, the topic was the impacts of Intel and how Gahanna is preparing for growth today, as well as for tomorrow. We were honored to have Lieutenant Governor John Husted as our guest speaker, who shared some very valuable insights on the growth of Ohio's economy, Ohio's stature, and how we have progressed in terms of job attraction for manufacturing and technology jobs. And what I found particularly interesting was how Gahanna and our peer communities can work together and collaborate in preparing for Intel and really position ourselves as best we can for success with what is about to happen up the road 10 to 20 minutes away from us. Our development team also spoke about some of the impacts that we are already seeing in Gahanna, which includes inquiries from potential partners and suppliers of Intel who are looking for industrial space here. And we talked a little bit about some of the areas we can expect to see impact, housing being one of those. Our Director of Economic Development, Nate Strum, also gave some insights into the ongoing Creekside redevelopment strategy that has been underway for going on 11 months now. That was a very high-level discussion, and the whole forum was really geared to the business and development community, as you could tell by those who were in attendance, commercial in real estate folks, as well as developers, et cetera, many business owners here. This Thursday, as Councilman Renner said a short time ago, we will be presenting a town hall with a very similar forum. This forum will be geared more with a resident focus. We'll kind of revisit some of the things we talked about with regard to impacts of Intel, some of the things we're seeing, but we will get into a really deeper dive on the Creekside redevelopment strategy. So that town hall will be held right here in council chambers. We will have an open house. It's from 6 to 7. I will be there along with our entire economic development team. We'll have some renderings up just of some concepts, nothing concrete, just concepts that are being discussed to get feedback and input from the community, and then there will be a presentation at 7 p.m. So we invite the members of the community to come and be present for that. I think it's also either going to be live streamed or taped and put up later, so that if you're not able to make it Thursday night, you'll still be able to view that and offer insights and opinions. In the meantime, there is a survey that is available on, we want to hear what you think about Creekside, the kind of businesses that you would like to see there. So that survey is available on gahanna.gov, and you can take that. We are going to be sharing some of those results, at least what we've seen to date at the town hall on Thursday. Also, as Councilman Weaver shared, we were very excited to be included in the state capital budget, $100,000 for the Gahanna Exploration Center, which really is the reimagining of the Price Roadhouse and turning that into a classroom programmable space that will allow outdoor classes as well as indoor classes, et cetera. So with that money, we'll be moving forward with that program and taking the next steps. I know we've had some design work and engineering plans that have been underway looking at that. So once that actually gets approved, keep our fingers crossed nothing happens to that, we'll be able to move forward. Thank you, Councilwoman Padova, for mentioning Creekside Blues and Jazz volunteer opportunities. So I will remind Council, admission gate Friday, if you're available the Friday night of the festival, June 17th. Historically, the mayor and council and directors have worked a gate together. If you're able to do that, please just send an email to me or to my administrative assistant and let me know what shifts you're able to cover, and we'll fill that in hopefully with some staff folks. I know our school board members are here. It's nice to see you tonight. I want to mention a big congratulations to the Gahanna Lady Lions field and track team, state champions this past weekend. Phenomenal, just phenomenal accomplishment for them. It was fun to watch the videos of them celebrating as they went through that. And finally, I'm pleased to announce, some of you may have seen it already, but I'm pleased to announce the hiring of a new public information officer. You may remember from our budget discussion last fall, that was a position that was discussed at length and was added to the budget for this year. Dan Perlman, formerly of NBC4 News, will be joining us tomorrow morning. Will be his first day in the office as our new PIO. He brings more than 15 years of professional media and journalism experience with him. We talked at length about going from in front of the camera to behind the camera, and I think he said he was ready for that. I think it might have something to do with those early 4 a.m. hours, but he's very excited to tell the story of Gahanna. He knows Gahanna well, and he shared that in all of the years of reporting, he could never remember hearing a negative story about Gahanna. So he's very excited to be a part of our team and come on board and help us share the story of what we're doing here, of the unique and diverse community that we have, so that everyone around Central Ohio knows just what an awesome community we have. So I know we'll be looking forward to introducing him to you in an upcoming council meeting, but I'm sure you will give him a hearty welcome. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you. First, I just want to apologize for not being at the meeting last week. I had intended to, but our flight home from Seattle got canceled, and we scrambled around, didn't get here till about a little bit after 8 o'clock on Monday night, so apologize for that. I would say, though, that it was warmer up in Alaska than it is sitting here underneath this cold air vent. It just comes down on you. But I'm just getting caught up with things, and I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you. All right. Item O, council comment. Ms. Angelou.
I don't have too much to say. I'm glad that we are together tonight. And I have I've been kind of off in tears because of a number of things that have happened over the past few weeks. But I lost my cat. I know it's not like anything else, but he was my cat. So I'm very sad right now. So I just had to say that because that's maybe why I sometimes just wasn't listening the last few weeks or something, because I had so many things going through my head. So I would like to say I want to thank you all for coming today. I've been doing this a very long time, and it's always good to have people out there. So hopefully we've made good decisions, and we're human. There's only one human person that has never made a mistake. So that we have many times, all of us make mistakes. And so you know that, and people make mistakes with how they do their life as well. And I'd like to tell that lovely girl there, you're going to be just fine. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Ms. McGregor.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver?
I just want to echo Ms. Angelou and thank everyone for coming out this evening. It is always nicer to see the room full. I want to congratulate Clerk Van Meter and his family on their addition. Congratulations.
How big
Hope-
was that baby?
9
10
pounds, 7 ounces.
9 pounds, 7 ounces. Big baby.
Not to be outdone, I was 10'10" when I was born, so.
We got to show all this. I mean, this is like, this is our very special guy here.
But good to hear that mom, baby, and the family are all doing well, so congratulations. Looking forward to the Creekside Blues and Jazz Fest next weekend, and I hope to see folks out and about. It's always a good time, good tunes, good food, and it's just nice to be among company and with the community. So, one last note, June is also Immigrant Heritage Month, and I just want to add another voice to the course celebrating the wonderful diversity of our community. So that's it for me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Padova.
I just want to echo what some of my colleagues have said and thank everybody again for coming out tonight. It is always much nicer to have a few people out here and not just be talking to empty chairs. But I also really respect everything that everyone has said this evening and am really glad that so many people came to show up for love. I think that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Bowers?
Yes, thank you. Again, thanks to all who were in attendance tonight and for your comments on this important resolution. Last month, I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an update on some of the things that I participated in. I attended the MORPC and YWCA partnership. They held a DE&I training called Beyond Inclusion, Building a Community of Belonging. It had been a few years since I'd done a DE&I training, and you certainly learn something new every time you attend, and it's great to hear some of the updated language around that. And really get to another opportunity to sort of reevaluate, am I doing the things I should be doing? Reynoldsburg is holding its Juneteenth festival. Juneteenth celebrates African American freedom, and it is a festival that's going to be held on Saturday, June the 18th at Huber Park. I know it does overlap with our Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival, but it is just right down the road. So if you want to take a break from blues and jazz, go visit our friends in Reynoldsburg. There will be live music. It's free and open to the public. I know the Columbus Zoo is one of the sponsors. There may or may not be some animals there to check out so from the zoo. So my very dear friend Meredith Lawson-Rowe, a councilwoman in Reynoldsburg, has been one of the key organizers behind that event, and I know she's just thrilled about the opportunities that it presents this year. There is also I wanted to just kind of get on everybody's radar. I had a wonderful meeting with Burhan Ahmed. He is an leader in the Ethiopian community here in, the Somali community. And he is hosting a Somali Independence Day Festival here in Columbus, and that is going to be on July the 1st. July the 2nd, excuse me. And that'll be over on the west side. I will forward information around about that, but I did want to highlight that as something that kind of ties into what Mr. Weaver mentioned as well. And I think that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. For closing thoughts, I just wanted to reiterate a lot of things that my colleagues have already said, so I don't want to repeat those. But the idea that Gahanna is a very inclusive, and we preach tolerance. And a lot of times tolerance there's a struggle because you have to actually engage and learn. Sometimes some people have trouble with that. But Gahanna is a city that we are very open, and we're ready to learn. So thank you. Item P, executive session. We do have, we're going into executive session. There is no legislation coming out of this. To enter into executive session under authority of Section 5.40A of the Council Rules of Procedure to consider the appointment of a public employee or official. Do I have a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Weaver.
Second.
A second by Ms. Bowers. Any discussion? Jeremy, please call the roll.
Weaver,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Angelo,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner.
Yes. All right, thank you. Like I said, there is no legislation coming back. Council, we will meet in the law library.